got nothing against your friends. I like your friends. Well, things have obviously changed for us.
I have to help Charles finish his movie.
Be good for you to spend some time with kids who don't run around with cameras and monster makeup.
Could you close your eyes, please? Yeah. And action!
So we have a town where mysterious things start to happen, like motors start to disappear from cars and dogs start to disappear from their backyards. And you know, white people are thinking, oh shit, illegal Mexicans done moved in.
There's a town where like there's only one black guy in the whole town.
Oh, was there a black guy who actually lived there? Oh, no, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Of course, like, he went out early.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one black guy. If somebody's got to die in a movie, I would say always bet on black.
Well, to be fair, this is suburbia in like, what, 1984 maybe?
No, 1979.
Yeah, 79.
Oh, was it 79?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
you know what? They played so much of the music from that time. I was like, wow, I was these kids' age at this time.
Right.
I recognize this time
So,
very clearly.
Not a big surprise there weren't a lot of black people around. That's all I'm saying.
And the one that was in there just like drove his truck head on into a train. I got to save these white folks.
Well, it's almost like he said, look, I know I'm going to die before this movie's over with, but I'm going out my way. Blaze of glory.
By my own black hands.
Let's just get this over with, okay?
And he was surprised to learn that the movie kept going after that. He's like, shit.
I wanted to ask him where the fire was, but he can't interact with movies these days.
Okay, what's going to be the best scene in this movie? All right, I'm dying in that one.
Yeah. Else he was running. They thought he stole something. He's like, I might as well just go ahead and crash in this train. They ain't going to take me to jail and lynch my ass. But, 1979 in a small town. So, but, man, I'm looking at this, and I know a lot of people. We're talking about Super 8, by the way. And I know a lot of people are going to love this movie because it's going to make them so nostalgic of Spielberg. Spielberg back in the 80s. I'm telling you, a lot of people
I honestly think it may have the opposite effect.
I think so, too.
You think so?
I think with the way this movie is marketed, like in such secrecy, like it's a horror movie, I think people are going to go in expecting that, waiting to be scared, and there's a bunch of jump scares,
and they go,
only to go like, wait a minute.
What the fuck? Is this batteries not included?
Yeah.
It's the only PG-13 blowjob I've ever seen.
Yeah. if only people read that much into it, because you got to remember that the regular movie-going audience, they're not like us. They're not in tune with who these people are paying homages to.
True.
And because I tell you what, that screening tonight, I mean, that wasn't a packed theater at all. And I was looking at you, I was like, wow, I'm surprised there wasn't more people. Well, but at the same time, I'm like thinking, well, you know what? With the way the advertising is, you really have no fucking clue about this movie, to where I don't think anybody's really as excited as it. And I don't think J.J. Abrams is still not that big of a name for a general audience to go, wow, I have to go see that movie to see what it is.
Well, you know what? I'm not talking about pretty much a general audience. I think you're going to see a lot of great critical reception, because critics are going to be like, oh, this reminded me of the time that I begin to love movies thanks to
critics are fucking retarded.
That magic man named Spielberg. You know what?
Some are and some aren't. That's the important thing. And I've already seen that split happening online with people writing about it. And I think we're falling down more on the side of like, look, like I get why you wanted to do this, but it just on paper seemed like a great idea, but in actual execution, it's just kind of boring, because that's all this is a tribute.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, this movie made me nostalgic for Monster House, that made me nostalgic for Steven Spielberg movies. It's like, okay, there's no real reason to write this love letter to Spielberg. Everybody knows and loves his movies already. It's kind of like when we saw Skateland. It's a love letter to John Hughes. It's like, we can still rent the John Hughes movies. We don't actually need you to do this.
Part of the problem is that they not only did get the good stuff from Spielberg's films, they also have the stuff that included that's dated now.
Yes.
All those little ticks and old tricks that everyone sees through now, they're all there. Like, for instance, it is a long time before you see the monster in this movie. And the way they keep you from doing that is in that old shitty, oh, look what just happened to move in the front of the camera trick over and over and over
they do
again through the entire film.
And that's what will probably be the downfall of this film, only because it is nothing but build up. And that is it. And it's one of those things where it's like, either you can accept what they throw at you at the end, where you're like, okay, or you can be like the rest of us, going, okay, that's it.
I know even the thing that they trying to hide in this movie is off screen. Talking about, is it time yet? No, stay over there.
They're in the green room.
Yeah, but you can put your arm in the shot, shake a foot or something, put a hand, but no, you keep your ass out into the last 30 minutes of this film.
And the thing is, it frustrates you so much because you're like, okay, all right, I've already been teased to fucking hell with that trailer. Please show me something now.
Is this actually the movie or just a collection of the viral clips they've been hiding online?
There's that point. I'd say about halfway when I'm like, I'm all with the build up, and it's like, all right, now you guys are moving into the negative territory where what you show me has to be huge. It's got to be big. It's got to be something that's going to scare me, like
wow you.
The shark from Jaws or the Cloverfield
monster.
But
not just for that reason. Also because, like you said, you can't forget. A single frame of this film doesn't let you forget that this is a tribute to Steven Spielberg in the 80s. Never let you forget. And you cannot make a film that's totally way lesser than those films.
No, especially when you're watching it and you're going, you know what? Wow, I really now appreciate all of the Spielberg's older films because he did it right.
Yeah, this is, if you can't tell, this is a J.J. Abrams film. Now, J.J. Abrams.
So it says.
So it says. Yeah. So it says on there
because of the lens flares.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's tons of blue lens flares everywhere in this movie. It's almost like, damn, did they just do this shit in post now just to get that
just
effect?
So people know it's a J.J. Abrams film.
Yeah,
I think that's the only reason that's there.
And J.J. Abrams, he's everybody knows J.J. Abrams. I think. He made a household name himself with Lost, and then he, of course, directed the Star Trek reboot, prequel, whatever it is, that was a huge hit. And he's also directed some television episodes. I was surprised to learn that he did some episodes of at least one episode of The Office. So
didn't he do Cloverfield too?
No, he did not.
No,
that was
he produced
it. Though.
Yeah. By the way, the Cloverfield monster, you don't even see him in the whole film. He got more screen time than this dude in this movie did, this thing in this film. But so J.J. Abrams, I know he consciously came in and said, I'm going to make a movie that is an homage to a heavy influence in my life, which is, as you said, Spielberg films from the 80s. Except Spielberg is probably standing there going like, God damn, J.J., man, there's a thing called a homage, and then there's a fucking lawsuit here.
I don't know. The way this is, whenever this movie is talked about, it's like Steven Spielberg and J.J. Abrams present, and Steven Spielberg produced. I think Spielberg was there just like loving having his dick sucked the whole time.
No, I think so too.
Just rolling back and forth, like, just telling him like, I think you should shoot it this way. Oh, I think you should put in one of these.
Cradle the balls. Cradle the balls.
Okay, on this shot, make it a little cornier. No, cornier.
No, at one point you're like, damn, man, move. Let me just get in front of the camera. Let me direct this thing right here. Okay, roll, y'all.
Spielberg was famous for doing that early on.
That's what I'm saying.
But in this particular case, Abrams actually went to Spielberg apparently with the idea
to kiss the ring.
Yeah, right. To kiss the ring, said, "Look, I would love to do this," and he's like, "I'd love to help you."
He was screaming. Why does Michael Bay get to have all the cool friends?
Oh yeah, I know. We all know Spielberg has done. The biggest film is Poltergeist. That was a Tobe Hooper film. Yeah, and he just told Tobe, move. Move,
get out the way.
Exactly. Here's your shit. Go home. But I'm the director. Go home.
I heard
go home. Get high.
Let me do this. About Joe Dante and Gremlins and on that set as well, but I don't know how.
I can see that.
I can see that, but that movie has such a Looney Tunes influence on it too that I can see Joe Dante really, directing that film. But nevertheless,
by the way, same scientist in both movies.
It was.
Glenn Turman. Yeah.
What's the guy's name?
Glenn Turman.
Yeah, he's the guy that drove the truck into the train, and he was the guy in Gremlins that Stripe put that needle in his ass.
God damn it! J.J. Abrams, does everything have to connect?
He has to kill the same black guy.
Another episode of Lost with us.
I want the black guy. Yes. Yeah, Spielberg, I love you so much. I want the black guy that you killed in Gremlins. Can I get that guy?
It's funny. I am such a Lost fan. I was like spending so much of the time looking at the background of shots, going, he always hides shit. I know there's going to be a Lost reference in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Except for the composer, Michael Giacchino.
Giacchino.
I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. There's not. But
you know what?
The moment the music starts, you're like, oh yeah, it's the guy from
But speaking of the music, I'm actually shocked that they didn't just go ahead and go, hey, John Williams, you ain't doing nothing right now.
Well,
why don't you just do the movie? I mean, it would have made way more sense. Yeah.
I like that. Who's the composer for this?
Michael Giacchino.
I like the movie for this because, see, it's not the Spielberg stuff that bothered me as much. I mean, it does get a little obnoxious. And see what this movie is about. And it'll help explain why I have bigger problems in a Spielberg homage here.
Tell us the story.
I will, and I'll make it. I mean, it's very. And I'm not going to even go into anything long here. You got a group of kids in a small town. they're budding amateur filmmakers trying to get into the local film festival, and they're directing a zombie flick. So they go out there.
Right. They could have been the Goonies, but they're doing it.
yeah, exactly.
Only one Goonies.
Yeah. You know, they got themselves a little Super 8 camera. They go out by the train tracks at night to shoot this big crucial scene of their film.
Production value! Carrie, you put film in the camera, right? I didn't put it in. What? Put it in, Joe! Get the mic ready, go! Costume,
I will.
Martin, get that tripod set up. Preston, get in position!
I will.
Martin, go! Martin, your line. Carrie, get that camera ready, go!
Shut up. We'll start on Allison and pan to the train,
Oh,
right?
God, I hope we don't miss it.
Shut up! I am trying!
Get that set up!
Come on,
Positions! Ready. Start filming. Be extra loud when the train passes by. Here we go. And action.
And this train is speeding by, and they see a truck with the black man that we mentioned earlier driving it, and that truck crashes head on into that train, and you get a huge, pretty much badass crash.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was great.
It's cataclysmic.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's brilliant.
I honestly don't think any train could crash like what they did, but
I was about to
it's
say,
cool to watch.
I think Michael Bay directed that scene right there. I'm sorry.
Yes, Spielberg moved J.J. Abrams. Michael Bay moved Spielberg.
That was the most apocalyptic train crash
unless
I've ever seen.
that train had just done a pickup at a dynamite factory, I don't see how they could have done all that.
Denzel Washington showed up that train and crashed so great. And
unfortunately, pacing-wise, right after that, the movie goes off the rails.
Gee, we're not even at the end, man. Come on now, damn.
I'm not wrong.
I give you that one because
it's true. Okay, that's truth in there. We'll let you have that. But as soon as that train crashes, everything seems all right. Everybody's alive. Even that brother in the truck somehow. I mean, that truck blew up and he's still alive. Maybe it was a white guy that crashed into it. He just burned himself black. I can't tell. But something mysteriously starts to happen after that. They know you hear something escape from the train. All of a sudden, as we mentioned, all these motors start missing from cars, appliances, electronics. Dogs just said, "Fuck this, I'm gone." Something happened.
I love that.
Yeah, dogs.
Like, I'm out of here, man.
They had a scene where dog had some luggage. He was passing by.
I thought you were my best friend.
But the biggest,
that.
Oh yeah. but the most dangerous thing is that citizens from the town start to end up missing, and is that point that we get into? For me, what could have been good or bad, but here's just kind of, middle ground. You get into not only an homage to Spielberg, but to almost every B-movie, sci-fi invasion of a small town type film.
Sure.
And that's my biggest problem with this, is that I've seen this done so much better so many times. I mean, this more than anything, this made me more nostalgic for The Iron Giant.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
Because the Iron Giant is like a retelling of E.T., except done in a way that's really badass and makes you cry. And there is a scene that I thought, okay, here comes that Iron Giant scene. But it didn't.
Well, the thing with Spielberg is he was doing, for a lot of his fantasy and sci-fi films, they were big, well thought out, expensive versions of the films he grew up watching, which were the 50s alien invasion and so much monster movies. And this, on some level, it was like Abrams going, I think this is the other one Spielberg might have wanted to do. But he's not Steven Spielberg. It does indeed, though, crib a lot from those 50s alien invasion films.
Oh, yeah.
But not really in a good way.
No, it doesn't make, he doesn't know how to make them interesting. I mean, which is shocking because it's J.J. Abrams. You'd imagine that's what he's good at.
Well,
that's
the Spielberg-y stuff is not the stuff with the monster. The Spielberg-y stuff is the stuff with the actual characters and their relationships with each other. The fact that you've got this group of kids who are all friends, but they all have their own distinct problems, and the little burgeoning first love between the main kid character and the girl that his dad doesn't want him to hang out with.
And there's always got to be a fat, obnoxious kid in the group.
Yeah,
but watching those scenes, I always think about when people try to imitate what James Cameron did in the Aliens films, as far as like the Colonial Marines and their camaraderie. Watching this, it really like he was really trying to capture that family dynamic that you'd see sprinkled in all of Spielberg's films, which really work. Which it makes you believe that they're actually in an actual town with real people. This, after a while, I felt that, but after a while, it started to get on my nerves because
you're
it's like
you do
you're
know
showing
there's a
way
monster
too much
running around.
Yeah. It's like there's a bigger threat, but that was the other thing. It seemed like all of these crazy, mysterious things that were going on, it didn't seem like it was that big of a deal. They kind of like glossed over it a lot of times where I'm like, why is this not making,
you know what, there's a lot
why
of
is this
stuff
not gelling right now?
Like that within this, especially like it would be a lot of situations of putting kids in really dangerous situations, like explosions going off all around them to where no one would survive, certainly not all of them. And yet it was like, hey, we put them in the worst dangerous situations, but they're going to be okay.
Well,
so don't worry about it.
See, I think what bothered me about those kids, because those kids are funny. You know, Spielberg had a talent for directing kids. He showed them as kids. You know, they cursed, they called each other bad names. I mean, when the parents weren't around, and that's what these kids do. Except these kids are talking over each other constantly.
They are.
That it becomes, the movie becomes loud and obnoxious just because of these kids. Now, and the kids are funny. I mean, I think the kids are hilarious, and I'm talking shit about this movie. I like this film. I do. I have fun with it, but. You know, looking at it, I was just saying this script is not as tight as I want it to be. I mean, I know what this is. This is, again, it's a B. If you want to go to extremes, really two extremes, you have the Blob mixed with E.T. You know, and it comes somewhere in the middle there with a dash of Goonies in there. So
and Jaws
and the Thing
and Close Encounters,
a little bit Cloverfield,
and Stand By Me.
and Stand By Me.
You know, all that good shit. And so, but what I don't like about this is that there are so many subplots that kind of slow things down. I'm not saying they shouldn't have them. Like the main kid, Joe Lamb, is the character's name, played by, I'm looking at his name, Joel Courtney, and his dad, Jackson Lamb, played by Kyle Chandler, who's a coach on Friday Night Lights. And they have this subplot of, you know, mom's dead. Dad and son don't get along that well, and then young Joe goes out there and meets Dakota Fanning's little sister, who's hot. Now, you know, I don't want to do anything with it, but I'm like, damn, that's her little sister.
What?
That girl, Elle Fanning. Yeah, I was like, that girl was like about 18 years old.
What about her Fanny?
What's that?
What about her Fanny?
Fanning, don't you try to get me arrested? No, but
he's on parole.
But yeah, I can't go back to jail. Sorry.
Pedo Bear is agreeing with you right now.
But I look at this subplot between, you know, those two, that they have this romantic subplot that's in there, and it's like, you know, that stuff should be short. I'm probably not there at all because it weighs down the film. Now,
it should be more interesting.
It should.
That was my biggest
Instead
problem.
Run of the mill.
Yeah, it really
plus,
was.
It takes over the film. It takes over to the point that
it does.
You go like, was there an alien in this?
Yeah. When Spielberg does stuff like that, he does it as while action scenes are going on.
Right.
While they're running from something, there'll be a cute, quick moment. They go, oh, wow, there's a connection between those characters. Mm-hmm. You know, all we need is the intro to these guys, and then let them develop at the same time as these events are going on and not separate from them.
Yeah.
And it spends way too much time with just nothing happening except those subplots.
And the thing that Spielberg did great is that, you know, if there was something tragic or you know, just some history with the kids or even adults, you know, he made it really incorporate into the story that they were trying to tell. You know, there was always a payoff. With this, it just seemed like the kid's mom is dead, and the kid and the dad, they don't know how to deal with it.
I could actually,
and it just, but it's like that's about as interesting as it gets. They don't go anywhere with it.
Well, you know what? They made the script a little stronger and shortened some of that stuff. I think it would have been like a great movie. I think it's all right now. I think it's a good crowd pleaser. But I'm looking at things in here that just don't make sense to me. I mean, who was it? The Air Force comes in, and I mean, they gotta, you know, you think like, okay, there's something loose in this town that they don't want anybody to know about. They don't ever set up a perimeter around that train. Those kids are out there filming in front of that train like nothing. And they got that. They got the soldiers even acting in the movie. You know? It's like, come on, man. Really, you gonna let these kids get this close to like something this top secret? And also, you know, my main man, that brother in the movie, what's his name again?
You talking Glenn Turman or Richard?
The one that drove that truck.
Glenn Turman.
Yeah, he, you know, if they tell you in the movie, like, okay, he was part of this whole top secret cover up that went on, but when he got, you know, a little dissatisfied with the way they worked, they just let him go. They let him go to like become a teacher in a high school, you know, and try to keep him quiet. I was like, come on.
There's lots of little problems here and there that the more you think about it, the more it starts to unravel badly, especially towards the end, which I wish we could discuss here. Because there's so many things to criticize.
We'll discuss it 5 years from now.
Well, just things that don't like they bring up and don't give a follow through on. So you're going like, what was that about?
I mean, in so many different ways, and the way it's paced and how long the actual, like, you know, explosive ending actually takes, which is not very long at all. And then the silly, like, callback to just the most irritating callback to Spielberg yet, which is the end of the film, which you go, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
I know. I was like, I've already seen this, like, at least, I probably count on your hand.
Yeah.
How many times I've seen that shot.
Well, I was expecting to hear boom, 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 boom.
Man, I mean, we sit up here talking about the bad things about in this movie, and I'm saying that because I really was hoping for more. I mean, being that they kept it so secret, I was like, again, I knew this reminded me of The Village, where I like, okay, judging by this trailer, if I was to just judge by this trailer, I know what the story is. So obviously they can't be doing that.
Right.
And I went to see the movie and it's like, oh, this is exactly what it is, and not even as great as I thought. However, I mean, the movie is a lot of fun in some parts, and is very funny. I mean, every now and then they would break up, the monotony of whatever melodrama they had going on with like a nice explosion. I mean, like that train wreck was incredible. The military, when it's taken over, starts tearing up the town, and it gets suspenseful at that point. And I even enjoyed the way they strung me along. One thing I got to give J.J. Abrams credit for in this film is that this is something I've always complained about. I said they show too much in trailers. I remember we always talked about this, goes back in the day when they didn't show you. They didn't show you. They didn't show you what Gizmo looked like. They didn't show you what. They didn't show you what. What ET looked like.
Yeah.
Shit, they didn't even show you what Jaws looked like, and that's just a shark.
In Alien, they showed you a goddamn egg that was in your grandmother's kitchen.
That egg wasn't even in the movie. You know,
it was not even.
And I look at this and I'm like, well, thank God that they want to go back and like not show you anything and actually tease you throughout the film and not show you too much. I mean, I really been waiting for people to do that.
You're right, which is great and all, but the thing is that wow, you better have a fucking brilliant payoff, really. I mean, because I'm itching my head, going, all right, what the fuck is this gonna be? Please, after like every 30 minutes goes by, going, it's coming now. Here it goes. Oh, some crazy shit's going. Hey, what was that? Okay, all right, it's coming out. Oh, and it doesn't.
Yeah. After an hour and a half,
you're like, God damn it, dude, you're starting to piss me the fuck off.
Yeah, it was frustrating. It's shit.
It really was.
An hour and a half, you start going, you know what? I think the Great Pumpkin is not showing up tonight.
You said if. We'll never see this creature now.
Corey, you keep saying you thought it was funny. My biggest problem is that I didn't think it was funny. I thought that the scenes where the kids are actually filming the movie are kind of cute, but nothing made me more than chuckle. And maybe if they had gotten someone to make all these other parts funnier and tighter and more interesting, then I wouldn't have minded so much that it took a while to get around to showing us anything and that there's barely any actual action in the film. You don't care if they're actually really interesting characters saying interesting and funny things. And while I like the child actors, I genuinely like every last one of them. The actual dialogue they gave them to say was not that great, and some of it was downright terrible.
You know what? I actually enjoyed it about the first 30 minutes of the film, but it seemed like all of a sudden, like J.J. Abrams just had a brain fart. It was like, okay, after this, I don't know how to write these kids anymore. Maybe I'll just retread over what I just did before, where they're just talking over each other. Like friends fuck with each other all the time, right?
Sure.
But he
I don't know what you're talking about, asshole.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, man. That never happens here.
No.
Yeah, this is Super 8 Part 2, right?
What the fuck are you talking about again, Cyrus? God damn it!
Fucking each other, talking over each other.
No, hey, but shut up! I gotta say something. No, you know what?
Those kids are gonna grow up to be movie reviewers.
Probably, actually, because I don't think their dreams of being movie makers are going to come true.
I know what you're saying, though. It's like, it's funny. And when it works, but when you want to move on from that, they still stay on that. And it's like, okay, you kind of worn out your welcome. These kids were cute, and I love the way they interacted with each other. But can I get some creature now?
Exactly. But you know what? The one thing, too, that honestly, when I was watching the film, I was like thinking, you know what? There's like the whole plot with the kids making their film. It's J.J. Abrams going, hey, George Romero, I haven't forgotten about you too, but I can't really make a zombie movie because it's all been done before. It honestly made me go, wow, especially like when, the thing is, you should stick around for the credits.
Absolutely.
Because the film within the film
is the best.
Is a lot more brilliant than what I saw tonight. And honestly, where I was just like, wow, that took about 5 minutes, but that is the best thing I've seen in this.
Yeah,
whole
we
movie.
all kind of said that separately to each other. It was like, man, what I saw in the credits,
I know,
it was better than what I just saw for an hour and a half.
Well, when you were listing earlier, Corey, like all the films that you felt it was taking parts of, I mean, that, including George Romero, stuff, you're like, that's not a coincidence. This is Abrams, not just a love letter to Spielberg, but just to his childhood.
Yeah.
To like why he wanted to be a filmmaker. And clearly these young characters are just pieces of him, of him going, each one of these guys is either somebody I knew or, I would actually love to see an interview with him where he elaborates on that to that degree. But even that being said, sometimes you can be too close to a project. And I think this might be one of those occasions.
Yeah. And once again, this movie, I'm sure, because I'm really curious how it's going to do this weekend and what people are going to think about it down the road. I think it's going to be one of those movies where you can bring it up in an argument as far as to why directors should not be paying homages to the things that influenced them, because a lot of times it never. It almost seems like at this point it's never worked.
Well, there's an homage. It's just like there's an homage where you are influenced and you do your own thing, and there's an homage where you do it directly, and it's it could either work or it couldn't, depend on how
because
depends how precious you see your project.
Well, the thing is, it didn't work for me. There was nothing new in this film that blew me away. I mean, I did like J.J. Abrams can direct, but just saying that he can direct. I was really disappointed in the story. It really gave me nothing. I mean, I walked away just going, I felt like Ralphie at the end, at Christmas Story going, remember to drink your Ovaltine?
Right.
A crummy commercial? God damn it. But
isn't that an homage to A Christmas Story?
Yes, it is. And I made it work. No, but
it was short.
But the thing is, I mean, I was disappointed. I really was. And it's heartbreaking. I got to give it a rental.
Okay.
I really have to give it a rental.
All right.
I think I liked it a little bit better than you did, and I will evidence that in just a moment. But, I think that the biggest problem here is once again, like, he's so determined to get all his influences in there and pay homage to so many different things and make sure that it feels like a movie that could have come out at this period of time, that he forgot to actually make a good movie, a good entertaining film. I mean, especially with us today, we've seen almost everything that happens in this film 6 or 7 times already.
Yeah.
There's really nothing new except for maybe just, and purely in an effects-wise sense, the train crash. I mean, okay, there's finally a better train crash than in The Fugitive. This is the one. This is the better train crash than in The Fugitive. But other than that, I mean, I was never bored, but I was never really that interested either. And it feels like a shame. It feels like wasted opportunity, because on paper, this could have been great, but in execution, it probably needed another year or two to gel at the script stage alone. I'm going to give it a high rental, because I think it's definitely something that, people should see and decide for themselves. Clearly, some people really enjoyed this. I mean, we talked to some friends outside the theater who really enjoyed this, but from my perspective, yeah, you're not going to want to make a trip to the theater for this.
I think the big word here is disappointment, in as much as, considering the talent that was going into it, there's a lot to hope for. We was looking at this maybe as being one of the better movies of the summer. And with it being shrouded in such secrecy, yeah, you're right. I'm glad to see, a trailer that doesn't give too much away. But the way it purposely hides things makes you think, man, I'm going to see something I've never seen before. And it's quite the opposite. All you see is stuff you've seen before. In a summer that's full of sequels, I was like, man, I was really hoping this would be something original. And, everything you guys said has been true. I probably still liked it a little better than the both of you. That the kid actors were all great, especially that Elle Fanning. I was like, wow, she's amazing. I'd like to see her, in some more stuff. But ultimately, it's even worse than it felt watching Superman Returns, where that was such a love letter to Richard Donner's first movie. This is even more so, to the point where it's like, wow, you're just not offering me anything new. And even what's here is leaving me with questions and leaving unfulfilled. And yet, something that's positive is that it's like a horror movie you can take your kids to. I mean, yeah, there's a little bit of, foul language here and there, but for the most part, they can go see it, identify with the kids. They probably haven't seen the Spielberg movies that you've seen, so they'll get a kick out of it. So I just drop it at a low matinee.
And we're just creeping up a rating point at a time.
Now I give it better than sex. No, you know something, man. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me want to see that movie now about the Super 8 motel chains. That's a hard movie to say. You ever seen the bugs in those things?
Yeah, man, I starred in that movie from like 88 to 95. Every weekend.
Woke up spooning with roaches and everything. But I agree with you that I think that this is, that's why I said I like this movie. I hate to keep kind of coming down on it with criticism because I do think it is a crowd-pleasing film, especially for those people who haven't seen as many Spielbergs as we have. I think you bring up a good point by saying, yeah, this could be a sci-fi horror movie for kids.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't seen a lot of Spielberg movies. I haven't seen a lot of movies with this B-horror film, alien invasion of a small town type theme to it. I've seen it done with more innovation, where this is just done with a lot more cliches. Nevertheless, I disagree with you guys. I think critics are going to, like, more than us, who are less jaded than us, are going to love this movie. I think crowds are going to have a lot of fun. I ain't part of that group, though, so but I still recognize what's good. I'm going to give this, nice matinee.
Thank
God
it step it up.
We did, yeah. Just I had to keep it going.
And thank God it's nice. It's not a mean matinee. It's a nice.
That's why he's Captain Matinee. He's at the top.
Exactly. But I have to look down on you guys.
I have to say though, you mentioned something, Corey, earlier, where the more I think about this one, just right now, just thinking about it, I was like, this was more of a homage to M. Night Shyamalan than anything else, really. Yeah. I mean, a lot of great performances, but just at the end, you're like, okay.
Even like, a lot of theme of it, I was like, okay, it's like Signs. It's somebody who's been damaged, but the aliens are going to help them figure things out, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, sigh. I have to disagree and agree with you at the
same time.
At the same time, I can do this because watch how
I like
work
that.
This. Yeah.
That's a new one on me.
He's ambidextrous and double jointed.
He's gonna give me his matinee opinion.
I'm gonna do this.
Up there on the tightrope. Put a spotlight on him.
No, I think that this is why I like the kids in the movies, because I thought that they were good. I thought, maybe they were loud, but that's just the way they were directed and all the dialogue and the script that they were given. I don't feel like the adults had too much to do.
No, as a matter of fact, that was one of my bigger disappointments, is that they didn't explore the relationships between the kids and the parents, or at least the dads, are the only ones who seem to have lived in this thing. But Kyle Chandler's character, you talk about a guy with a fucking God complex and just an asshole. Hey, sheriff's gone. It's up to me to save this whole town.
Oh, yeah.
Like, slow down, cowboy.
Yeah, a lot of the adults are one dimensional. The guy that was supposed to be the most threatening, and I like this actor, Noah Emmerich.
You know what? Speaking of E.T., wow, you just bring the military or the government in, and they're just a bunch of dicks, and that's all they are.
They are dicks, and they are ineffectual.
Yes.
The Noah Emmerich character, he's the head military guy there. He's supposed to be the most frightening guy, the most villainous, and I didn't feel shit for that character.
They're more like menacing just because it's in the script. You can practically see him rolling his eyes in scenes that he has to do the things he's supposed to. Oh, yeah. His character's not given any development of any kind.
No. All those adults, the only time they're effective and menacing is when you see those flashlights running around in the fog, just like in every Spielberg, where you're like, oh shit, you better start running when you see all those flashlights of people hooting and hollering.
By the way, those were supposed to be rifles, but J.J. Abrams wanted to be so much like Spielberg, he replaced him with flashlights.
I thought he turned him into walkie-talkies.
You know what? We're criticizing this so much. I'm just going to tell people what the creature is. You want to know what broke out that train? It was the world's angriest train hobo.
Jimmy Crackcorn is not okay! We have to find this thing. I don't feel good about this.
Go! I saw it. No one believes me.
I believe you.
What the hell?